Pinocchio. Long ago, there was an old carpenter named Geppetto. One day, he decided to make a very special creation, a wooden doll called Pinocchio. There was a blue fairy living amongst the stars. One evening, when Geppetto was sleeping, the fairy entered the window and touched Pinocchio on the end. If his nose was a magic wand, the wooden doll opened its eyes full of life. The next morning, Geppetto noticed that Pinocchio was full of life. He was so happy and took him in his arms, giving him a hug huge. The doll was full of life and danced, sang, and moved in all direction. One day, like all fathers, Geppetto decided that his new son should study, so he sent him to school. Packed with books, Pinocchio was disobedient, not going to school, but taking another path. There he met some bandits who tricked him into follow them to a magic place. This magic place was called Children's Land, and their children were changed into donkeys and wear defenses. Whoa. Pinocchio escaped from the bandits and ran to the edge of the island and divided into the water and swam away from the terrible place. Geppetto, in search of Pinocchio, found him in the sea. He and Pinocchio were swallowed by a whale. Inside the whale, they made a plan to make the whale sneeze, thus blowing them out into the sea. Back to their cottage, Pinocchio remained disappointed to his father. Pinocchio noticed that everything he did not obey his father. His nose grew longer and longer. I don't want this to happen. I promise to always obey my father, cried Pinocchio. Suddenly, the cottage was filled with the dazzling light, and there stood a lovely fairy dressed all in blue and learned her lesson with Pinocchio. She said, and as her magic wand touched him, Pinocchio felt himself turn into a real boy. After all his adventure and with the love of Geppetto, Pinocchio learned his lesson. Geppetto was proud of his son and asked the blue fairy to change Pinocchio into a real boy forever. The end.